Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I want to do a short live stream on a new card I made using Fancy Folds. This is the double twisted easel card. I think I showed it to you during my last live, and I wanted to show you my latest creation, which is this one right here. And this is just gorgeous. Look at this. I made it using the Parisian Beauty, and I've made it to be a Mother's Day card. Isn't that just beautiful? It is just really lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how we can put this card together. So the pieces that you're going to need are the Forever Blossoms and the Parisian Beauty. This is a bundle that's in the mini catalog. You're going to need some framelets. Specifically, we're going to use this Eiffel Tower framelit, and I'm going to put this right here on my magnetic board. And you're going to need the scroll and the wonderful Amore. We're going to put that one there. And we're going to use the stamp of the Eiffel Tower. And this will go nicely on this block right here. You're also going to need the stamps, and you're going to need the framelets from our Forever Blossoms. I'm using the big flower stamp and a couple of the smaller flowers. So that equates to these framelets here. And let me see if I can pop these out. And we'll just go ahead and put those right there. So we're using this stamp and these two stamps right here, as well as the little bud. So there they are on this block. The next thing I'm using is the Happy Mother's Day sentiment that is here in the Timeless Tulip set. And I just have that one right there. So I have all my blocks set up. You're also going to need, for our embossing folder, I embossed this very nicely, very subtly with the Scripty 3D embossing folder. It really gives it a very nice background. So with that, you will need a piece of silver foil, and on the back I've put some of this adhesive sheet that I can use, so when after I cut these out, the back will just simply adhere very nicely on your card. Again, these are tips and tricks that we share on my Facebook page, my group Stamping Fusion. I am using for my sentiment, I love this little framelit right here. It fits perfectly, and I'm going to use this filigree piece to kind of decorate the sentiment. And let me show you how that's going to look. Do you see how pretty that is? Let me just bring it in so you can kind of see how really lovely that's going to come out with the filigree. Okay. And then that's the front of our card. You can see the silver foil. These are the flowers and the Eiffel Tower. I also use some pearl embellishments on it. So that is part of the Painted Labels dies. I love these dies. I have used them so many times to make labels that I really think this is a really good set to have in your craft room. For paper, I am using, I believe this is Purple Posy, and this is Blushing Bride. So you're going to need 2 sheets of that. You're going to need a piece of Whisper White to stamp and cut our flowers and our Eiffel Tower. Now the ink I'm using is just a very nice subtle gray granite. So this is the only ink you'll need. Now this DSP that I'm using, and I just wanted to pull it in here. Oh, hi Beth, thanks for joining me from Ohio. This is a lovely stack of DSP. So before we go to the annual catalog, I'd really recommend this. It's the Designer Series Vintage Flair. I have used this so many times because I just love the soft colors. There's just so many ways that you can use this paper. So I've used it when I've done my my bags as part of the pretty little handbags. I forgot what the set was that we put together. It's just really gorgeous, and I think this paper really does go nicely with this selection, with this color combination. As you know, I love Stampin' Up! Products because everything coordinates nicely. Okay, so I think we have everything we need except for our stamping blends. So let's talk about blends. You can see I have them all right here at the ready. Now, I kind of played around with these a little bit. I have dark pink pirouette, and here's light pink pirouette. I have light Rococo rose and dark Rococo rose, and then I have Flirty Flamingo. I also have these colors that I use mostly for flesh tones. This is the dark and light petal pink. We don't really need those. And this is the Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to go with the Flirty Flamingo and with the Rococo rose. That's going to give us a really nice contrast with our Blushing Bride paper. This is a color lifter. I'm only going to use this if I need to clean up a little color that I may have put somewhere. And then, of course, my green is going to be light and dark Old Olive. So these are going to be my stamping blends. Now I wanted to show you the envelope that I made for my other card that I made in the twisted easel card fashion. This was a very nice Easter card that I put together, and I think this is the one that I, oh thank you, you're right Beth, it was Dressed to Impress. This is the one that I showed in my other live, and you can make an envelope, and I have the envelope that I put together. So I want to put together an envelope for this card to show you how you can do that. So over here on the side I have 9 5/8 by 9 5/8, and I just use a soft pink gingham paper to go for my envelope, and this is from that Pleased as Punch Designer Series paper. I just really kind of like the contrast there. Okay, so remind me, Beth, not to forget to do that, because when I did the masks on my last video, I forgot to put the little strings around their little ears. So sometimes I kind of forget where I'm at when I'm going live. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get my ink, and I want to stamp my figures. And I'm just going to stamp up my Eiffel Tower. I hope everyone's doing well, Beth. I hope your family's doing well. Just go ahead and put that there. Okay, and then I'm going to clean that off. and I'm going to stamp. Now I don't have to make this, I could use my, my Stamparatus. I really don't have to make this too dark. That's perfect. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that. Oh, maybe I'll stamp it right here. There we go. Okay. So that's fine right there using my gray granite. All right, so let me go ahead, put these aside, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go, I'm going to cut these out using my framelits on my Stamparatus. Oh, thank you. I just sent off my Easter card, Beth, that I made 2 of those, and one of them is going to my mother and my sister in New Mexico. And I just, I mailed those off this morning. And I didn't realize, I have totally lost track of time with all this, you know, social distancing and kind of staying in my house. I didn't realize that this is Holy Week already, and time is just really kind of going by. It sees like it's going by slowly. I guess day by day, it's kind of like that movie Groundhog Day. Every day, you know, you kind of have the same routine. And it can be, it's a little disconcerting, but this is my happy place. So I had to get on today and just, you know, kind of take hopes there's someone else out there that could join me, and I'm glad that you were able to join me just to do a little bit of stamping. And I'm just trying to line up my dies on my Big Shot and run these through. Okay, so got those done. And my sister's also a nurse, so I sent her a bunch of those cards that we made for the that I made last time, the nurses. She really liked them, so I just put a bunch in an envelope along with the Easter card, and you know, hopefully she'll be able to find a place to use them. She goes back to work later on this week, so my prayers are going to be with her, because it's going to be, you know, there's a lot going on in hospital workers and for all our healthcare professionals. Okay, so I have those cut out right there, and this one came out a little bit crooked. I lost the little stem there, but I'm not going to get too worried about that. What I also am going to do, again, I'm going to take my silver foil, and I have my backing here, and I'm going to cut these 2 pieces right here. This is the Amor and the nice pretty scroll. Okay, so this has my scroll in it, and this one has my letters. So I'm just going to put those right there. And the other thing I'm going to do is, before I start coloring, I'm going to take my Eiffel Tower. Let me just move in here because I'm going to get an X-Acto, and I want to cut out this center area right here. So let's go ahead and cut this out. And you're going to see that when we put the card together, we're going to have to shorten our Eiffel Tower a little bit so it fits in our 4x4 size of our card. Okay, let me flip this over and make sure I get my pieces here all clipped. Oh my gosh. How is your, is it your daughter or your son, that are your son and your daughter-in-law that are expecting the baby? I really hope that this is all over by then. I have a friend that's also a pediatrics. My sister works in pediatrics, but they're moving her over so she can work another part of the hospital. I have another friend who is also a pediatric nurse, and her husband's a OB/GYN, and he's moving over. He's been reassigned to another part of the hospital. So, you know, people are doing what they can where they can. They're being put where they can do the most work. Let me make sure I get this in correctly. Okay, I think that's fine. All right, so now we're going to do some coloring. So definitely we'll have prayers that this will all be over by then. I'm going to start out with the light Flirty Flamingo, and I'm using the wide one. And let me see. There we go. I'm just going to go over the little buds, and I'm going to go over the flowers. But it is really with all the other things that a young mother has to worry about, right? Oh, it's your youngest daughter. With all the things that a young mother, an expected mother, has to worry about, because motherhood has, you know, all its own challenges that you have to, you know, think about, you know, what's happening in the world right now. But I think the key is, and what I try to do, Beth, is I just try to stay kind of focused on what's affecting, you know, me. If I can order my groceries, and my husband and I and my son, you know, I touch base with my family every week. I get on the phone and I talk to them, make sure, you know, they know that I'm thinking about them. I think that's the best we can do, right? If we get too tied up with everything that's going on, then I think it can be rather can be very disruptive to our peace of mind. So as long as we're doing everything we can by just, you know, staying home, I think that's the most important thing that we can offer. You know, it's kind of like it's our gift to the world, is just to kind of be patient and hang on. And like anything else, you know, we have our up days and our down days, right? Up days and down days. And okay, so now I use the Flirty Flamingo. I use the dark just to kind of go around the edges. So now I'm going to take the light and I'm just going to kind of blend it a little bit. There we go. Just blend it. Kind of blend it out. I called one of my demonstrator friends who's out there in, I believe she's in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I believe she's home. And you guys started a little bit earlier than the rest of us, but since I had been traveling in DC before the beginning of March when this all happened. I started as soon as I got back to Florida, just because I didn't know what direction this was going to take, and I didn't want to put anyone at risk. So it'll be a whole month, maybe on the 9th, April 9th, I'll be home, So this morning I went for a ride with my husband to the mailbox. That was my outing, just to kind of see what the rest of the world is doing. Okay, I'm just using my light Old Olive. I'm just going ahead and putting this there. Do you have any pets that are keeping you, kind of keeping you grounded? If you listen closely, you can hear Rocky the pug snoring. He has a little space over here on my futon, and he sleeps, and you can hear a snore come out of him. It's not, it is not hard to color with the Stampin' Blends. It really isn't. And I think they're almost, I want to say they're almost foolproof. If you just kind of use, and see what I did is I forgot to go ahead. You just kind of outline your shape a little bit, and then you just go back in with the light one, and you just kind of blend it, and it's really not hard. I love these pens. I hope they keep them in stock, and they actually last a long time. The only ones I really run out would be like my Daffodil Delights. I forgot to do that one. Let me do this little bud. I forgot this little bud right here. Let me do that little bud. There we go. Now, the trick is the accent in using your blends, Beth, is go ahead and take like a basic color, like you want your Flirty Flamingo, but then come in with maybe a little bit of a darker color, use the light, and just kind of maybe go in the middle, or maybe outline some of the shady areas with the light color. Okay. And what you're doing is you're kind of layering your colors a little bit more, because you have a light and dark with one color, but then you can go ahead and you can add another color in there. And sometimes I like to go like right here where one petal meets another petal. That's where I like to kind of do an outline, because then that kind of shows where that petal is kind of throwing a shadow over the other flower. And once I do that, then I'm going to take the dark, and I'm just going to basically I'm going to do these dots. And maybe I'll do just maybe the base, because you can kind of see where there's almost like a star pattern that kind of comes out of this a little bit, and then you can do these dots like that. And it doesn't have to be again, it's so impressionistic that it's not really hard. It doesn't make it hard. You see how that kind of came out? Combining these two colors, the Flirty Flamingo and the Rococo Rose, kind of makes that flower kind of pop a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you lost your beagles. We lost our German Shepherd several years ago, and that broke our hearts because that was my son's dog and my husband's dog. It was our running dog and our walking dog, and it took us a while to replace it, but we finally. I wanted more of an inside dog, so we got, Rocky the pug, and he's keeping us going. I don't know what I would do without him now, with everything that's going on. Okay, I'm just trimming because sometimes our dyes just slip a tad. Not a big deal, but I just kind of like to kind of. Match them up, line them up a little bit so there's just a little bit more, so they're a little even on both sides. All right, so I think we've done all of these. I'm going to put all of these over here. So now let's start talking about how we're going to put this card together. Okay, so this card is going to be, let me get my, let me see. Okay, so this double twisted, our paper needs to be 8 by 8. Let me open it up and show you. Here's our card, and I'm going to open up my so it's going to be 8 inches by 8 inches, okay? So I'm going to take my base card, which is going to be the purple posy, and I'm going to cut that 8. I'm going to cut that 8 by 8. Now I'm going to cut this in half. So I'm not going to cut it, okay? I'm going to go over here to 4, and I'm going to score it at 4 inches. And I'm going to get my cutter out of the way, and I'm going to slow down a little bit to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Okay, so we're going to score it at 4. Okay, there's our score line. Now, we're going to move this over and we're going to line this up. Here's my score line is going crossways. We're going to line this up at 4. And I'm going to use my cutting blade, and I can just pull in a little bit. We're going to take our cutting blade down to our score line right here. So I'm just going to cut all the way down and line up this cutting line right there. And I've got it cut in half. Now we're going to fold our triangle because our base card is going to fold so that we can put this piece on top of it. All right. So I'm going to line up this point, and let me move out so you can see, and I'm going to line up this corner here. So I got these two corners right here are going to be lined up right in the cutting trough of my cutter, and that will make a perfect center fold. So I don't want my cutter, I want my scorer, and I'm going to score there. Same thing. Turn it like this because I'm scoring away to my outer corners. I'm going to line up this corner with my cutting trough and this corner with this end of my cutting trough. And I'm going to score that right there. So now I have my base card. So let's put that aside because the next piece we're going to need is we're going to need a piece of Whisper White that is going to be, now this is 4 1/4, and if you go onto my blog, I'm going to have all the measurements there. So the Whisper White piece is going to be, let's see, this is 4 by 4. It's going to be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, you see how nicely that fits there? Perfect. So I need 2 of those, and I'm just going over here and I'm grabbing these little pieces that I have cut that I put aside here as part of my layers for my regular size cardstock. Okay, then I'm going to need my Blushing Bride, and since this was 3 3/4, this one we're going to cut 2 of these, and they're going to be 3 1/2. So let me go ahead and cut that. So I'm going to need 2 3 1/2 squares. I'm going to cut that. Oops. Hold on, my little cutting thing fell out. Okay, cut that. And I'm going to cut right there. Okay, so let me grab our pieces and parts and let's see what we got. Okay, so let's get our bone folder and let's go ahead and kind of fold our pieces. So this piece is going to go inside like this, and this piece is going to go inside like that. Okay, so there's the front of our card. We're going to have this piece, our Whisper White, is going to go there with a piece of our blushing pink, Blushing Bride. So there's all our card pieces. So what we want to do before we put anything and decorate our top is we're going to take these 2, and I'm going to grab my embossing folder, and we're going to go ahead and emboss it with this really lovely, look at that, just beautiful script writing. And I don't think I can fit both of them on there, so I'm just going to do one at a time like that. And there you go. And let me just show you what I used. I took this, put it in here, and if you'll notice in the annual catalog, they have this plate. This plate is meant to be used with your Big Shot platform, just the Big Shot plate. I think this is just the embossing plate. It also comes with these pieces here. It comes with the a thin die adapter, and then I love this adapter plate. So you take these 2 off and you use this blue piece, which is much thicker than your regular plate. So it helps to kind of get these in this particular thickness of embossing folder. It helps you to get that embossed. If you have the really old embossing folders, those were really thin. These are more 3D, so you have to use another type of plate. Otherwise, you're going to have to shim it quite a bit in order to get it embossed. Okay, so here are our pieces, and we're just going to go ahead and line them up. And I'm going to use my glue. It is really pretty. I love it. There was a folder that came with this suite, and I thought I had ordered it, but I didn't. But I will tell you that there is another stamp set that I really liked. Let's see, I don't think I have it on my desk. That was that came out. That was seemed it was just kind of seemed very frilly, very soft, and I thought that that this would go well with this set, especially because this set has this pretty writing here. So, you know, with this pretty writing, it seems like this folder is just meant for it, even though the one that comes with the suite is a more flouncy folder. Okay, so here are the tops of our cards. Now, the first thing I want to put down, so I'm going to come over here where all my little pieces and parts are, because I don't want to forget them. And I'm going to make sure my fingers are not wet. And I'm going to turn these upside down because I work upside down when I'm going live. My Amore is going to come here. You can see this is a lot of flour and it's not all going to fit there. And my Eiffel Tower is too tall, okay? So we're going to scooch our Eiffel Tower down, and I'm actually going to trim a bit of the top. So I'm just going to kind of take just this top part off, and I'm just going to kind of trim that a little bit like that. Okay, and then that's going to give me right about there, and then I'm going to trim, I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to trim right about here. Let me just kind of mark that. Yeah, just trim right about there. And that way, this kind of comes over our card like that, and it looks kind of, we're going to pop it up on dimensional, so it's going to look nice right there. My filigree, my silver filigree, is going to go on this side, and then I'm going to use my flowers and my leaves and over here. But to fill this piece in, and let me just turn this around so you can see. Let's fill this piece in first. To fill this piece in, I'm just going to take this flower here, and we're just going to cut it off right about there. So that's going to go right there. Okay. And I'm going to take this piece here, and I'm going to cut around here. And I think I'm going to leave that leaf, but I'm going to take this piece, and we're going to just kind of cut this around so we just have the petal peeking out right here. And then I can kind of smooth this around just to make sure it all kind of looks kind of uniform. Okay, and if if you're cutting it close along there, you can just kind of trim it until it's kind of what your eye is looking for. So this one, I'm actually going to I'm going to put this one down, and I just want to kind of make sure that none of these corners are pointy. I want them to be kind of round. Okay, so the first thing I want to put down is I want to put my Amore down. And I'm going to need my piercing tool right here. Oops, there's my little top. And I'm just going to kind of push these out kind of delicately, just very delicately, and they will pop out. And if I can go in here and lift it, even if I use an X-Acto and just kind of lift a corner, when you're using the foil, if you do it that way, you don't run the risk of kind of poking through your foil. Okay, so that's where this is going to go. So since I used that backing, I can go ahead and pull this off, and you have to do it kind of slowly, because if you pull it off too fast, with the way these letters are, the letters will just stretch out. So you just kind of want to gently kind of pull them off, very gently. And that one broke off, so we're just going to go under here and let me check this out. Okay. Now, what happened is I only have adhesive. I just had to check. I only have adhesive up to here. So let me get my mat in here, because what I'm going to have to do is we're going to have to do some fast glue work. And I'm just going to take some of this glue. Does this look like? Hold on. Oh, here's the rest of the adhesive. It's coming off right here. I kind of got the, I kind of cut it on the seam. So I've got adhesive there. But I'm just going to kind of just add just a couple little dots. And it will be fine. Okay? And I'm just going to just lay that down right there. Okay? And it's going to hold very nicely in place. And sometimes these do like to pop up, but I think it's going to be just fine. I'm then going to go ahead and I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to tuck this one kind of right under my A, and I'm going to use glue for this. So let me just put some glue on the back of this. I'm just going to tuck that right under my A like that. Okay, and then I'm going to pop up this using dimensionals. Now I can go ahead and trim this right here. Don't really need that much stem. And then I'm going to grab my dimensionals and we're just going to go ahead and pop it up. Now you could use some mini dimensionals. And let me find some minis, because the minis fit very nicely in the corner of these little leaves. Okay, so I got plenty of dimensionals on there. Beth, it's a pretty card and it's not that hard, and I've been waiting for an opportunity to use this bundle, these bundles, and I just thought with Paris and springtime, I thought what better way to do it is using it for a Mother's Day card, but also kind of as a as a folding card, so you can really take, because it's a lot to put. This is a lot to put on one card, right? You have the lettering and the Eiffel Tower, so it's a lot to put. So it's kind of nice that this type of card, this double twisted easel card, really lends itself to kind of, to play around a little bit and add more to it. Okay, so let's see how that looks. I could put a little bud right there. But let's go ahead, before I finish, let's just say that one's done for now, okay? And now let's look at this one. And we're going to pop this one up here. And then we're going to put this wonderful scroll work like right there. I kind of like it going like that. So let's do the same thing. I think this one was right on the paper. Just kind of gently push through. Just gently push without poking. Just enough to kind of see, I just lifted it right there. So now I can lift my blade and pull it out of the form very carefully, especially with this little curly Q thing here. Okay, so now it's out. You can see how very delicate it is. We're going to push out this piece right here. And when you push out that piece, actually, all of the back of the paper comes off. So here's another, there we go, very delicately lift it all off. Not pulling too hard. See how you can kind of pull that little piece apart. I'm going to pick this piece off because it doesn't go there. And again, we're going to fill up this space nicely right here. Right like that. Oops. So you got to kind of okay, and I just kind of place it down as so. Now we can put this flower, and again, I'm going to kind of just trim this a little bit. If the white is just too wide. Okay, that looks nice there. And I've got these nice little leaves. Again, I'm just kind of just giving them a little bit of a trim so it doesn't look like it looks a little uniform. And I do have a nice little bud here that I can also put in there. And I'm going to trim this one as well. This was the bud that came from our other little piece. Oops, I'm just dropping these like crazy. You know, and trim to your liking. Trim to your liking. You know, there's really nothing about this that's hard. You just kind of trim it the way you like it. And I kind of like that coming up like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and put these two pieces there. So let's go ahead and put some glue on this. And let's kind of put that bud right there, kind of coming up underneath our scroll. And then let's go ahead and put on our Eiffel Tower, because then we can decide. And I like kind of having this scroll coming out from under my Eiffel Tower like that. So let's go ahead, and I'm using the minis. I'm using the mini for the top, and then halfway down, and then you can use the regular ones. You can use the regular ones for both bases like that. They fit nicely. And if you happen to get just a tiny corner peeks out, you can always just kind of trim it. And I'm going to put one more right there. Okay, all kinds of. So now we're going to put our Eiffel Tower on. Peeling off my dimensionals. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of hold this, and I'm just going to line it up so it comes to the bottom of that, and kind of comes out like that. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to stick this flower right here up on a dimensional, and where's my leaf? And I can poke this leaf, and this leaf kind of pokes over this. Let me show you. I think that looks fine the way that leaf kind of pokes over that. So I'm gonna leave it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of glue, and I'm just gonna let that kind of do that right there. And then I'm going to make sure it stays down by putting two big dimensionals here. And I'm going to put that flower right there. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? So here is the front of our card. Now, the only thing we have left to do is I want to add, let me get some of this extra paper, brush this out of the way so you can see what we're going to do next. All right, I'm going to add some pearls, and I'm just going to go ahead and lift up some pearls. I'm going to put a pearl up here on the top of my Eiffel Tower, and these aren't the little, these are pretty small, because I really don't want, you know, big pearls, but I think it's enough that I'll put this one here. That's nice. That's a little bit bigger than these here. These are smaller. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? And I did add a couple of pearls over here. So I could put a pearl right there. And I could put a pearl, let me pick up this pearl. I could put a pearl right there. And that looks nice. Okay. So here are the pieces that are going to go on the front of our card, and they're going to go on just like that. Now the key is that they're going to go facing each other, because when they open up, they're going to open up like so. So before I put those on, what we're going to do is we're going to open up our card, and I'm going to take my designer series paper that I have over here underneath my stack of stuff. And my designer series paper is going to be, I'm going to cut that at a triangle, but I want to use Whisper White as the kind of as a foundation. So let me get a piece of Whisper White. Okay, so here's my Whisper White, and as you remember, this is 8 inches long by 4, so this is 8 by 4. So let's grab our cutter. Let me put it in here. Let me move out so you can see what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to need, instead of 8 by 4, I'm going to do this I'm going to do 3 3/4, and I'm going to do that by 7 3/4. So there's 7 3/4. Okay. Oops, I did the wrong one. Let's see. Yeah, I measured that one. Okay. So this one, so those dimensions I just did for the Whisper White. So I'm starting to drift here. Okay, so that was 3 1/4. And let me open up my by 7 3/4, right? Because it's 8, so we're just going to go down by 1/4. Now I'm going to fold this in half, okay? And I'm going to line up that point, and that point, right? And I'm just going to trim. All right, I'm going to line up that point and this point right here in the gutter, in my little cutting gutter here. All right, so now this will go very nicely right there. So now this, I have to cut down where I had it 3 3/4. I'm going to go down to 3 1/2. And I'm going to come over here, instead of 7 3/4, I'm going to go down to 7 1/2. So I'm making this smaller by 1/4. Let me get these out of the way. Oops, I forgot. You got to keep me honest there, Beth. I forgot to do this one. Okay, so we're going to cut. We're just going to fold and just nip that one right there. And this is a little hard to see. So what I like to do is I like to turn it over, because then I can see my little nip right there. So that lines up, my nip right there lines up with my point in the gutter. And then this point and this point in the gutter. And when I say the gutter, it's just this line right here, which is really nice with this particular trimmer. Okay, so now I have this, look at that, isn't that nice? That fits perfectly right there. So we're gonna just glue this up straight away. And there it is. So now I can put this piece right here. Let's make sure my fingers are clean of glue. Go ahead and glue this piece. And I like to use, even though this is a big piece of paper, I kind of use this little skinny nozzle to make sure that I get to my corners, because what I found in making these cards is if you don't get these corners, they're going to lift up. So you want to kind of use your little nozzle, even though you've got your, you got your big one that you can just spread your glue out very quickly. So make sure you kind of get the glue to your corners So when you put it down, and there you go. So now we have the inside of our card. So what I want to do is I want to stamp my sentiment, and then I'm going to show you get all these pieces and parts. I'm going to show you we're going to use these framelits here to create our sentiment. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to use my gray granite. And I'm making this a Happy Mother's Day card. So let me just go ahead and stamp that. That works. And then I'm going to take this framelit, I'm going to put it right there like that, and then I'm going to also cut this piece out here, and I'll show you what that's going to do. And I have to fumble about here to get my right platforms, because I had my embossing stuff on my Big Shot. Okay, there's that. And here's this, which I'm going to punch out. I'm going to cut another one. Okay, so now we're going to just kind of punch this one out as well. Okay. Now, let's see. I got to make sure. So we're just going to go ahead, and I'm just going to use my piercing tool here to punch out the rest of these. It's so small, I really don't need to get my brush out. But it makes these really cute little lacy pieces. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put these lacy pieces on the back of our label. So we're going to put them right here. Now they're a little longer than we need, so we're going to have to trim them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it right there. I think I have a pair of scissors. So you can kind of see, I'm just going to kind of go to how did I do this one? Yeah, I'm just going to kind of go to this point right here. Okay, and then I'm going to trim this one as well. I'm just trimming off these last two round pieces right there. Okay. So now that I've done that, let me get my silicone mat so I can glue without getting glue all over my area. All I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this to the back of my label. So let me just get some glue, and I want to make sure I have the right side up. So I'm just going to put a very, very thin bead, right along here. And we're just going to line that up right in the center. And I'm going to pick this one up. And I'm just going to line that up right in the center. And it lines up perfectly. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? So while this dries, let's just turn this over and put it over there. We're going to assemble the rest of our card. So here's the card we're making. Get all these pieces and parts out of the way. Okay, here's our sample. Here's our card. And all we're going to do is we're going to line these up like this. And I'm going to use tear tape. And we're going to put the tear tape on these pieces right here. This is the bottom portion here is the portion that we want the adhesive on. So I'm just going to line that up like that. And line that up like that. I love tear tape. I think tear tape and all-purpose glue are my absolute favorites. They're wonderful, wonderful adhesives. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take off this side. I hope this has been helpful, Beth. I hope if you go to my blog, I'll be posting this on my blog soon. It will have I guess the dimensions. Okay, so kind of have my sample there. So this one is going to go right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and take this one off. Okay, and then this one, we're going to just center it and it's going to go right there. Okay, so there, look at that. There is our card. Isn't that pretty? So now we can bring this in, our Happy Mother's Day, and that is going to go right in here, and I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. I've got a large dimensional here and a large dimensional here. Just pulling off my dimensionals there. And then you can decide how far, if you want it at the bottom or more up to the top. I'm going to put it more up to the top because when I sign my card, I'm going to sign it down here with maybe a pretty marker. And then I'm going to take some of these large pearls, and I'm going to put a large pearl. I'm going to put a large pearl right there because this is going to act. This is going to kind of act like a doorstop for my card. Okay, you see that? It acts kind of like a doorstop right there. And then I'm going to put I'm just going to put a couple of the medium-sized pearls. I'm going to put one there. And I'm going to put one there. There you go. So you got kind of the pearls here act as a doorstop, and then you've got your other pearls. And let me just move in so you can see how I did that. See? Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now our card is done. So let's make an envelope. So I've got my envelope builder punch, and I looked at the size, and the size right here of my card, looking at my key. Let me get this out of the way. Is going to be, it's right here, it is 4 by 8, so that's 9 5/8, 9 5/8. So this is cut at 9 5/8. So let me turn it this way so you can see what I'm doing. So I have to read upside down. 4 by 8, 9 5/8. So I'm going to score at 3 3/8. So let me just go ahead and put it in here. Let me pull out my little scorer. It's been a while since I've used this. So I'm gonna get 3 3/8, right? Hold on, I'm working upside down, so I just want to make sure I get this right. So 3 3/8. Okay, 3 3/8, which is right there. Okay, so I'm gonna punch, and let me see. Here's my. I'm gonna have to do it this way because, yeah, I gotta punch. Where's my little channel? Okay, here's my channel. Okay, so let me turn it this way. I'm gonna line this up with my score right there. Punch, and I'm gonna go ahead and go along that. Line that score line up with this point right here. Punch. Okay, and then I have to do this side right here. And I'm going to punch. There we go. So there is our envelope. So I usually turn this around, and I just kind of get these pointy pieces round, and I think this will fold very nicely like this. Yep. Let me put this aside. Let me grab my bone folder. And you have to be gentle when you score it. If you score it too hard, you're going to tear this paper. Now, if you're going to put it through the mail, one of the things you might want to do is just reinforce that with a little bit of Scotch tape. If you're afraid that it's not going to make it. I take this and I just fold this down because I just think it's kind of pretty. And then this will go nicely right here. Let me just make sure that, there we go. Okay, so this will fit this beautifully right in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this together. I'm going to open this up. Again, I'm using my tear tape. I don't need to cut that round. I just like to put my tear tape all the way to the end. Cut it there. Put this all the way to the end. And cut it there. Let me just go ahead and pull this up. And then we're just going to fold that right there. And there is our envelope. And if you want to, if you were going to mail this, you can go ahead and just do a little snip straight across. And you have your card. So there you go. There is your beautiful Mother's Day card using our Forever Blossoms and our Parisian Beauty stamp set and dies from the mini catalog, which is still live until June. So please take a look at it. It's on my online store. If you need if you want to put it in order, you can put it in order and you'll be signed up to get my annual catalog. So I thank you very much, Beth. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And until next time. There we go. Kat Chancellor, Stamp Art Connection, and StampArtConnection.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Stay well, Beth.